So I'm excited to have you guys here. We had our first, seminar this morning, and so it's good that we had so much interest that we had to do 2 talks today. But so our Road to Wellness seminar series got kicked off in January. Seminar that I did was basically a foundation seminar, and just so people can understand that they can control their health. And so if they've been diagnosed with something or been struggling with things, that there was a potential to actually reverse or cure that. And so that was my first seminar, was really getting people used to that idea of how they can actually go about controlling their own health. And so this seminar, I want to talk to you guys about gut health. So if you want to get control of your health, you have to start with your gut, okay? All right? So I want to tell you about who we are a little bit more, how gut health impacts your health, your overall health, how gut bacteria can cause and prevent disease, and how healing your gut can improve and cure your medical condition. I'm going to tell you about some powerful gut healing stories that I've been able to be a part of. Next slide. Okay, so to understand why gut health is really, really important, I think we should really understand where our overall health is, and not just with ourselves, but really the whole bigger picture and what's going on with the world. And so this is the leading causes of death worldwide. And most people, majority of people, and there's a lot of people that are dying from heart disease, stroke, lung issues, emphysema, which is a fancy word, could be COPD for that, and then diabetes, okay? And I want you to pay attention to these, because when you add these up, most people are dying from a medical condition that can be prevented. Okay. All right, here we go. So 80% of chronic diseases are preventable, okay? A lot of people feel like if their mom had that condition or their dad had that condition, and they're going to get that condition, and it's just their genetics. But that's only, that is only 20% of it, okay? And when I mean preventable, is it really depends on the kind of lifestyle choices that we're making, or the things that we're doing with our health that actually put us at risk for getting these chronic lifestyle diseases. And that's your diet, alcohol, blood sugar, physical activity, tobacco, blood pressure, cholesterol, and weight. Okay? So where does Bermuda stack in all this? Okay? And that's what we really want to know. Okay? So these are, a bunch of countries, and the average sits right here, okay? And these countries are really economically very similar to Bermuda. And this is overweight and obesity prevalence. Bermuda tips the scale, okay? You see where we are? All right. And then this is diabetes prevalence. And again, this is the average. And then there's Bermuda. Mexico beat us, but we're second best, okay? Or second worst, right? So it's a problem. It's a problem worldwide, but it's a problem. And being this unhealthy as a world, or even in Bermuda, it costs. And so we spend about $700 million in Bermuda every year now, and that was a huge increase over the last 10 years. And in the U.S., again, going from $27 million to $3.2 trillion, almost tripling their GDP percentage. That's the U.S. And then down here again, you have Bermuda. And all these countries, UK, Canada, Switzerland, US, Bermuda is spending a ton of money, about $11,000 a year per person on our health. So not only does Bermuda mirror what's going on in the world, right, with obesity and diabetes, heart disease and strokes and all that sort of stuff, but it's almost a little bit magnified her. And so figuring out the kind of real solution to Bermuda's issues is like figuring out the real solution to the world's issues, right? And getting it right here means getting it right, being able to get it right everywhere else. So how did we get here, right? How did we transition to such an unhealthy population? And I think there's a few things true, but for the sake of this presentation, I'm just gonna speak on one concept that I want you guys to understand, and that's how we treat health conditions, okay, all right? And so we have this style of conventional medicine, okay? And what that is like is, I would say this, because we're focusing on the gut, I'll tell you what happens. So say you have a heartburn, you have indigestion, or you got a lot of acid buildup, and you say, okay, hey doc, I got heartburn, I really want you to fix this. And then doc says, you know what, I've got the perfect pill for that, I'm going to give you the purple pill, right? So we can give you the purple pill, it's going to make that all better. Okay, fine, right? And so you go out and you get your purple pill, and it does make everything feel better. But what happens with that purple pill is that it's going to cut down the acid in your stomach, right? Well, the acid is there to help you digest foods. It helps to keep your food sterile. So say, you have, your food is contaminated with bacteria. Well, the acid in your stomach really helps to clean all that up before it goes through the rest of your GI tract. So what is on the box of that purple pill is that you shouldn't be on that pill for more than 3 months, right? But what most people would do is that, it's working, so they're like, okay, well, give me a refill, doc, and doc gives them a refill, and they stay on way longer than 3 months, okay? And they can be on it for years. We have that issue with people being on it for many years. So drugs, particularly in our conventional medicine model, one, really address the real problem, suppress symptoms and functions, okay? They could correct one imbalance, but trigger other imbalances. And they don't take into account other biological systems that they could be affected, okay? All right? And I'll use another analogy. So say this, you didn't get that one. I like to think about if you had a foot pain, okay? So you've been walking around and your foot's starting to hurt. Your foot's hurting because you have a pebble in your shoe, right? And it's causing a lot of pain. You say, hey doc, I've got foot pain. Can you fix it? And he's like, sure, I'll give you a pain medicine, right? And yeah, you go, you take the pain medicine. It helps for a little bit, so you take more pain medicines, right? And that's conventional medicine, okay? My approach, which is functional medicine, and so what I want to introduce you to, is actually looking and taking that shoe off, finding that pebble, getting rid of the pebble, putting your shoe back on, and sending you on your way, okay? It's finding out that root cause of what was going on, okay? Without stacking medications, okay? All right? But now, don't get me wrong. Conventional medicine has its benefits, right? If you was to go outside and get in an accident and break a leg, that's where conventional medicine is great. You'll go to the hospital, the doctors will fix you up there, and then you'll go home. So for emergencies and surgical stuff and acute stuff, conventional medicine works really, really good. But when it comes to more chronic stuff, the best approach is a more newer approach. And I want you guys to understand the term of functional medicine, because it's going to be something I think you're going to hear of more and more, okay? There's a lot of doctors in all over the world now that are taking on this approach. But it's root cause medicine. It's really getting to the root of what can be causing an issue for you, okay? All right, so it's more investigative, yeah? So you do a lot more specialized tests than usually a regular GP or family doctor would do. It's more holistic, okay? Because we understand the issues and the limitations of conventional medicine, okay? It's safer, it's patient-centered. So not everybody who comes in with the same issue walks out with the same tablet, like you see with heartburn, right? Okay, you got to figure out what's been going on, all right, with that person. So it's more customized to you. It's integrative, so it's usually an approach that integrates other Eastern type of medicine practices, okay, all right? And it's preventative. It means that because you're figuring out the root cause of what's going on, instead of stacking on medications and getting more and more other problems, then you're not doing that because you've kind of stopped it, all right? You stopped the initial problem. So how many of you want less medications, healthier weight, more energy, and less pain, and increased longevity? So going into your years and years and years with absolutely great and optimal health. How many of you? Right? Great. So that's why you're in the right place. So when people come in to see me, because as Beth said, I've done a few different, studied a few different types of medicine, I always explain to them where exactly, kind of how I've gotten to that, so they can understand and make sure that we're on the same page, truthfully, on what they're going to get. So when I finished residency, I did internal medicine and pediatrics. So I set those boards, and I set the same boards as an internist or internal medicine doc, and I set the same boards as a pediatrician. And I came back to Bermuda, and I said, okay, well, I want to be a better doctor. And a lot of the issues that I was dealing with, especially when it came to my adults, and I was starting to see these issues in kids, was more weight related. And so I said, I'm going to do some medical weight loss. The fancy word for that is bariatric medicine. So I became a medical bariatrician, and I help people to kind of focus on their weight. And then I felt like I could be doing a better job. And a lot of that really, helping people to deal with their weight revolves around their nutrition. And so that's led me to do the functional and nutrition portion medicine. And then I've been doing that for the last 3 years. And this is the root cause approach. So I do this with our team, and you've met Beth Hollis. She's our physiotherapy. She's a pain medicine specialist. She does acupuncture, and she's a yoga instructor. She's got a lot going on too. And Dr. Sabrina Famous, who has started nutritional and functional medicine as well. Okay. And so we came up underneath our brand, our main practice of Ocean Rock Wellness is the Healing Bermuda initiative, in a sense that we know exactly that, Bermuda, based on our statistics, needs a lot of help, right? And really that help is going to be about empowering people in Bermuda who are living here to really fix their health. And so, hence Healing Bermuda came along. And our first thing was to do these wellness seminars, right, to give people that education. And the second thing is our book, which is a guide to really helping people to get on top of their health and to really get away from those toxic medications that really can be, dragging them down. So I mentioned a lot about how I wanted to kind of become a better doctor, and that's it. I do want my patients to get better and better. I wanted to see better and better results with them. But my real, I think, evolution came about with dealing with my own health. And those who came to the first seminar series in January, I talked then about having to finish a residency, a very stressful type of work environment, and having issues with restless leg. I had issues with chronic fatigue, and I had issues with infertility. So me and my husband have been trying for years and years to get pregnant, but with no such luck. And so it wasn't until fixing some fixing some of my diet that I was able to improve that. So when we got pregnant, I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna be a parent, and we're really excited, and we're over the moon, and things are great. And we had a beautiful baby girl, and this is her right at, in the hospital. So everything's bliss and everything's beautiful. But when we got her home, she was a beautiful baby by day. But somehow at night, she turned into this. And we was like, what did we get ourselves into? These were perfect maybe before. And, Camila had this thing that if you jugged her up and down, she would stop crying. So it was like a few hours of I'm jugging her up and down, and then I'm passing them to my husband, and he's doing the jugging, and we're both getting stronger. But, eventually that's not like how we really want to get our exercise. And so, but it really got to a breaking period when it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and Camila was up, and she was crying, and she was difficult to saddle, and I was just like, all right, what would any smart mom or any other pediatrician do at this moment? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, I want to get some sleep. So I did what everybody else would do, right? I went on Google. I said, Dr. Google, help me out. I need my baby to sleep. And so, I was breastfeeding at that time. So I was like, okay, well, I'm doing everything right. And I'm like, okay, well, breastfeeding and colicky baby, because that's essentially what she had. And so Dr. Google's like, yes, cut this out of your diet. So a lot of the stuff that came up was like eliminate stuff from what I was eating. And so I did that. Well, I didn't do everything because it was a long list. So I was like, well, I'm going to start off with one thing, which was dairy. So I did that. And she got a little bit better, maybe, but not really. And so my aunt, who's just the sweetest, she brings me over some cupcakes. Like, congratulations, new baby, have cupcakes. I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And I had those cupcakes, and then that night, poor me and Camila was just completely in stomach turmoil. Or her stomach was upset, my stomach was upset. And then I clued on that it's not just the dairy. It was then wheat products. Like anything that was baked was also kind of like with flour and stuff like that was also triggering as well. So I cut out those two things, and she got better. She was happier, and it was great, and we was getting sleep. And then you forget all about that, and then you have another kid, right? You're like, oh, Nisha, and then you get another kid. And so there came Yara, and Yara was pretty much quite similar to Camila, actually. It didn't take long for her to start having colicky issues and turning into what I call monster baby too. And so I was like, okay, well, I've got this now, right? I'm gonna stop the dairy, and I'm gonna stop the gluten again, because I had started eating it again. So I'm gonna stop all that again, and then it will get better. But Yara isn't that easy. She actually started to, I needed to do more with her. So I needed to cut out eggs, I needed to cut out soy, I needed to cut out chocolate. Like, she was really breaking my heart at this point, It's like all the good stuff, right? And she had actually a really bad eczema, so she was rashed from head to toe. And so I was more than happy to do that. There's no way, being a pediatrician, you're going to walk around with a baby who's got rash from head to toe and, crying all the time. Nobody's going to want to come to you with their baby. Like, they're not going to want to. So I did all that. And she got better. And what I found out, though, was that, because what I found out was that when I wanted to do, when I really kind of started to focus on gut health, I found out that I needed to do some testing, right? And so I started to do some stool samples, right? I'll get to the point of this slide, so in a second. But if I want other people to poop in a tray, I have to kind of poop in a tray myself, right? And that's how you kind of figure out what's going on with your gut. And so I did that. My husband was completely grossed out, but he bore with me and that sort of stuff. And I found out that later I had intestinal parasites. So that was the reason for the intolerances to various foods that I was having, not only with myself, because I kind of passed that intolerance to my kids, But because of these, parasites I have found in my gut, my kids were having reactions to different foods, right? So it's gross, right? But that's exactly what was happening. And so it was kind of a blessing to really figure that out. And so now I have 2 beautiful girls who are doing fine, right? And another bonus that was really, really good about that was that I had, when I was pregnant with Camila, I had stubbed my toe, and I had a toenail that would not heal. And it was like a few years, and I was like, I'm going to go to the toenail doctor and see what is going on. So I went to the podiatrist, and he was like, oh, check your shoes and this and that. And I was like, okay, all right. But I was like, do you think it could be fungus? And he was like, yeah, it's a little bit of fungus there, but yeah, just worry about your shoes. And so I was like, what happened is that, I had also candida, my gut was a hot mess, if I really am honest. And once I fixed all that, the toenail completely healed, right? So that was my super bonus on top of that. It was like happy feet. So what I want you guys to realize is that if you really want to get on top of your gut health, you have to heal your gut, okay? So all diseases begin in the gut. There you go. So all diseases begin in the gut. All right. So the root to your health really starts in your gut, okay? If you are a fan of mangoes, right? You'll love this story, right? It's a mango tree involved, right? You like mangoes? So yeah, by default, you love mangoes, right? So I love mangoes too. And so if I had a mango tree, right, and it was doing great, it was giving me all these nice, juicy mangoes, great. But one year, that mango tree does not start giving you those mangoes. It's not great. It's not producing really good. Well, instead of looking at the leaves and the bark and that sort of stuff, what you really, really want to do is you want to look at the soil and you want to look at the roots, okay? Because if you figure out what's going on there, then you'll figure out how to help the tree better, okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. All right. So in your gut, all right, it's a fancy word coming up, but the gut bacteria is also called the gut microbiome, okay? And what we know now is that if there's imbalances there, then it can lead to all sorts of health conditions, such as weight, obesity, diabetes, inflammation, metabolic syndrome, arthritis, heart attacks and strokes, high blood pressure, hormonal imbalances, asthma, cancers, diarrhea, constipation, celiac disease, gastroenteritis, IBD, which is irritable bowel, or inflammatory bowel disease, or irritable bowel syndrome, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. There's many diseases now that are linked to what's going on with your gut, okay? All right? And I can add infertility and gut health stuff to that too, right? Or restless leg. So we have hundreds of trillions of bacteria in our gut. I want you guys to understand how important your gut is. So these bacteria, we all added them up and weighed them, it's going to be 1 to 2 kilos, right? That's a lot. And if you speak in pounds, it's 2 to 4 pounds, all right? So that's a lot of bacteria you have there. And they outnumber our own human cells 10 to 1. So essentially, truthfully, we got more bacteria than we got human cells. And if we laid those cells from end to end, they would circle the world 2.5 times, right? So that's how important they are. With those numbers, they gotta be important, right? So what I want you to know is what we're talking about when we talk about gut, though, is that sometimes people think, okay, well, just in the stomach, but it's really end to end, okay? So just to orient you, it's end to end, it's top to bottom, it's mouth to anus. So that's the whole section that is involved when it comes to your gut health, okay? All right, and it's not only just important at this age, but it was important even at birth. And so at birth, we're not born with gut bacteria going on. We kind of acquire that as we get older. And it really kind of matters what type you get as you get older. And different things that are happening on your life really do affect your gut bacteria. So whether you was born naturally or via C-section, whether your mom breastfed you or gave you formula, or whether you had antibiotics as a kid or even antibiotics now, all of that is going to play into the health of your gut, right? Okay. And what you should know is that there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? All right? So the good bacteria are things that you may find in probiotics and certain foods that we eat that are fermented, okay? These have all good bacteria, and they do really good things for our health, okay? They really help our body. The bad bacteria do the absolute opposite, okay? They can cause lots of inflammation and lots of problems with our health. And then you have the ugly, and that's the parasites, either the fungus or the yeast, things that really shouldn't be there, okay? All right, or our body should have had a chance to clear it, but didn't, okay? And there's things that we do, right, depending on our lifestyle, that actually gives us either more good gut bacteria or either more bad gut bacteria. So I'll start off with bad, okay? So things that are bad for your gut. If you're getting a lot of artificial food colorants or sweeteners or artificial foods and stuff like that in your gut, antibiotics, mouthwash, pesticides, antibacterial soap, and sugar, okay? The reason why, say, antibiotics and mouthwash and antibacterial soaps is because they really kill off the good bacteria. Some people don't get that. I know they like to go in, and if they have a sinus infection or something's going on, they're like, Doc, I need an antibiotic. And they really want it. And that's okay, but if you don't use an antibiotic properly, you're going to end up being worse off with your health than you were when you first came in, okay? And that's because the antibiotic is not selective. It's going to kill off maybe what's going on with the sinuses, but it's also going to kill off the gut bacteria as well. And what's going to flourish is the bad gut bacteria, okay? All right? And pesticides, so that are found in our foods that are not organic, right? They're killing off insects. Well, guess what? They're going to kill off stuff in our gut as well, okay? All right? And sugar really tends to feed things like Candida, which is a fungus that we can find in our gut, or different yeast. So it feeds bad stuff, okay? And it feeds those things. And then you have the things that could be good. So there's cottage cheese and sauerkraut and yogurt, kimchi, kefir, and probiotics that really can help your gut. And I'll talk to you in a few more slides. I'm really going to give you a little bit more reasoning as to why these help your gut, okay? So I want to talk to you about Doc Stacy, because she came into my office probably over a year and a half ago, and mostly because of my weight loss specialties. And she's like, I've been overweight all my life, Dr. P. Sober, can you really help me to lose weight? And I'm like, of course, that's what I do. And so we started to work with, and I said, well, eat these stuff and don't eat that stuff and exercise this way. And she did everything. She did everything I was saying, and her weight was not budget. So we both kind of was like, what is going on? And it wasn't until after kind of focusing a bit on the gut health. I had just come back from the gut health course, and so I said, you know what, let's focus on your gut. And so I was like, well, you're going to have to, poop in the tray, and she had to do give me a breath sample, and we found that she had bacteria overgrowth, okay? So she and her gut was having too much bad bacteria. So so we fixed that, and I fixed that with her, and she started to lose weight. And what was really good about it is that she actually started to feel better. So she was like, and even though after the year we didn't get to the goal weight, because we had a goal weight for her, we didn't get there, But it didn't even matter to her because she was feeling so much better. So her energy was really picking up and she really, really benefited that. So you're now getting to see that by fixing your gut, you're going to fix everything else that's going on, right? Right? So healing your health means healing your gut. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So I want you to understand, now that you understand where the bacteria come into play, I want you to understand about these cells that they kind of come into contact with. These are our gut lining cells. So these are all lining your gut. And they stand, they're next together like this, nice and tight, okay? All right? And food is getting digested here and then absorbed here, okay? All right? And this is another picture so you understand, is that, this is your gut, okay, all right? And that's the tube, that's your gut. And if you look in this tube in a cross-section way, you will see the gut cells all nicely lined up next together. And then the food coming down here, getting digested, and then getting absorbed and getting into the bloodstream and getting carried away. That's the liver. Yeah. Yeah, that's the liver.
That's the message to your gut.
Yes. Yep. Just how that picture shows, you got a big arteries and big veins going straight to the liver. All right. Now I want you to understand that there's a concept called leaky gut syndrome, okay? And if you haven't heard it yet, you're going to hear it more and more, exactly, right? So the tight junctions that we have here are supposed to be there, right? We don't want big chunks of food getting through into our bloodstream. Because when these big chunks of maybe broccoli and rice or whatever you're eating, or maybe it's even bacteria, or maybe it's fungus, whatever is getting in here, it's getting into your bloodstream and your immune system goes haywire. It hates that, and it causes a lot of inflammation, right? And there's some things that we do that actually make these junctions very leaky. So stuff starts to kind of fall through these junctions. There's stress, right? And that can come in many different forms, and people don't realize how much stress ties in with their health. But every time I'm doing a lecture, there's always some stress going, there's always some significance when it comes to stress. So stress affects your gut. I've already told you about the antibiotics. Let's talk about dietary proteins, because there's one in particular that everybody needs to clue into. Does anybody know what that is? Okay. It's a dietary protein called gluten. Okay, all right, yeah, you're like, yeah, I heard of that, right? Because you might go into a grocery store and you've seen gluten-free this, and maybe you have gluten-free options on menus on restaurants. So this is why it's popular now. It's because we're finding that gluten, which is a dietary protein, is a protein found in wheat, rye, and barley, on its own can destroy the junctions here. And some people are really more sensitive to that than others, okay, all right? And it causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. And so that's why you're getting a lot of gluten-free this and a lot of gluten-free that coming up, because of that issue, all right? And so we can actually see that under the microscope, that when people eat that, their gut lining becomes very leaky, okay? Another thing that's important is this low HCl, which is low acid, or not enough enzymes, okay, or digestive enzymes. So low acid was the problem that I told you about when you get the purple pill and it cuts back on your acid, right? Well, you need that acid. You need that to help to kind of break down some of these particles, right? And dissolve some of these particles and help them to digest. You need that, really important to make sure that, everything gets very, very small. So those are some of the problems, those are some of the things that cause leaky gut syndrome. So I want you guys to know the 10 signs that you may have leaky gut. And what you really want to do right now is you want to start, if any of these signs resonate with you, then you just going to want to write them down, okay? Because if you got at least one of them, then you could have a leaky gut, all right? You guys ready for the signs? Yeah? All right, okay, good. Okay, ready. 1, fatigue. So if your energy isn't at a 2-year-old's level, no, I'm just joking. It's a little bit much, but if you know that your energy is not where it used to be or not what it should be, then you could have leaky gut. If you have more issues with food allergies or food sensitivities, then you could have a leaky gut, right? So I used to be able to, so that person would say, I used to be able to eat dairy or milk, but when I eat that now, I have to have ginger tea or something. I have to have maybe peppermint tea, or there's something going on now. I have to have something to help my gut, you know, maybe it gives me some upset. Joint pain, arthritis, be it back, be it neck, be it hips, be it knees, ankles, anything. Skin rashes and acne, okay? Is that coming? There we go. A weakened immune system, so getting colds all the time. Oh, but maybe it could be other things like urinary tract infections and sinusitis and things like that. Poor mood, brain fog. Now, these are my favorite patients, right? Because these are the people who come in, they want to complain to me, but they forget what they was going to say. So they say, you know, they're mid-sentence even. They're like, I was going to say, and da-da-da-da. And we're doing like word-finding games. Like I'm trying to help them, right, to bring it home. So if you notice that, you know, you feel like you're not as sharp or you're not as crisp or you're having difficulty with concentrating or maybe your memory, then that's a little bit to do with brain fog. Migraines, right, so really, really bad headaches. Difficulty losing weight, so resistance weight loss plays a lot into leaky gut. And then if you ever been diagnosed with a condition that is related to inflammation, then this could mean that you have leaky gut, all right? So those are the 10 signs. All right, so my Grandma Mary, she's a teacher who came into me a couple of years ago, and she was pretty much at her wit's end with her GP. So her GP sent her over, like, Dr. Pease, can you fix her? Because she was on 2 different migraine medicines that were escalating at max. And she was getting no relief. She was having migraines pretty much every day. And they was causing her so much issues that she wasn't able to teach or be in the classroom. And she was studying for her master's, so under a lot of stress, right? And she was having issues with kind of staying on track with school. And what would happen is her migraines would be so bad that it really would like kind of like really leave her. She was in her bed. She had to spend lots of days at home because of that. And so I said, well, let's look at what foods could be causing inflammation, right? That could be triggering this. And so we did a food sensitivity test, a food intolerance test, and it came back and, you know, it identified the foods that were a real issue for her. And I gave it to her. She was like, all right, awesome, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to cut out everything on this list that's causing me a problem. So things like high fructose corn syrup was in there, and she really like did a good job of like getting rid of a lot of that stuff. And then the next time she came back to see me, she was like, oh, I'm feeling better. To the point where, you know, the migraine medicines left. And then the last time I saw her, she didn't need to be on anything daily. If she got a headache, it was not as bad. And so she never had to miss school or anything like that because it would go very soon. And so she was only sporadically using her migraine medicine, if that. The bonus for Mary was that she lost weight. So she had been overweight for a while, but she dropped 35 pounds by just removing the foods that were aggravating her gut, okay? All right, so she was really excited about that. All right, how many of you think that you may have leaky gut? Yeah? Yeah? Pretty much everybody, right? All right. How many of you want to know how to fix it? All right. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you the 4 steps to fixing leaky gut. Okay. The first step, remove. All right. So just like Mary, you got to remove any foods that are causing an issue with your body, okay, and causing inflammation. And so this may be in the, like doing a food sensitivity testing, which I done with Mary. Now, if you can't do a blood test or you're squeamish about blood, okay, I'll tell you that there's 6 foods that can get you jump started, okay, all right? Ready for those 6 foods, okay? I already mentioned gluten, okay, that's one. So anything that's related to wheat, barley, or rye, you want to get rid of. Dairy, so that's another one. Soy, eggs, corn, eggs, yep, corn, yep, corn. And the reason why corn is because it's been modified a lot. So it's a really highly GMO food, which means that they have, taken it to the science labs and changed it. And so our body doesn't recognize it as much as it used to. Again, lots of hormones and pesticides and different feed-ins and stuff like that. Now, you may be fine with, I have people who are fine with organic eggs, but have real bad issues if they're not organic, okay? All right? And then the last thing is sugar. Okay, so number 6 is sugar. What you want to do then is step 2 is replace. So you want to replace with healing foods. And I mentioned a few of those before. But there are foods that actually have a lot of good bacteria in them that actually are really good for us. So kombucha is a drink that we can do. Kefir, yogurts, sauerkraut, kimchi. These are yogurt is dairy. But you can get some non-dairy yogurts as well that still have good bacteria in them. Yeah. There's coconut milk and almond milk. Yeah, so you can get some almond milk and coconut milk yogurts as well, okay? But yeah, when I was avoiding dairy, I was mostly doing kimchi and kombucha and getting probiotics that way, all right, by those types of healing foods. Has anybody heard of bone broth? Bone broth is also very excellent because it actually almost like coats and heals the gut. Okay, so if you have those leaky gut issues, it helps you bring it nicely back together again. Okay? You can do 2 things. I've seen it sold, but it's probably best made. Okay? And then they also have bone broth powders that you can actually, get and buy now too. Okay? Number 3 is repair. Okay? So when you remove, so think about gut inflammation as actually like having a fire in your gut, okay? All right? So when you remove, you actually stop putting fuel to that fire, okay? So you stop the igniter fluid going on the fire. But if you remove, you still got that fire there, right? It's just smoldering right now. It's not as big as it was, but it's still there. When you repair, when you get to the dirt, you're actually cooling down the coals, all right, and really putting the fire out. So repair means adding in supplements that are really going to help to heal the gut and cool down the fire. And it's really a lot. It's a cocktail. And some of these herbs you probably have heard of. It's herbs like slippery elm, ginger, echinacea, golden seal, turmeric, glutamine. Let's see, what else? Vitamin A, there's some vitamins that do it. So vitamin A, vitamin D are really good for gut healing. So that's helping you to repair and really cool down those colds. The last thing is rebalance, okay, all right? So making sure that you're putting in lots and lots and lots of good bacteria. And that may come in the form of mostly probiotics. And I always find that probiotics are really helpful. You can get them in many types of supplement forms. They come in liquids, they come in powders, they come in tablets, okay, for probiotics. Okay. There's a lot of good brands, truthfully, all right? But also, you don't want to get unstuck on one brand, okay? You actually want to diversify. It's one of those things that the more different types of brands you actually expose your body to, the better your health is. So I wouldn't get, it's actually not a good idea to be on the same probiotic for years and years and years. You really want to switch it up, okay? You don't want to get married to your probiotic. You want to just keep it rolling, okay? Just want to date them and keep on moving, okay? All right? All right. So all of that is the tip of the iceberg, okay? All right? So this is a really good start, but I have to say, really getting on top of your gut health really could be a lot more for a lot of different people. Just this morning, I had, people come up to me and say, well, I'm done all that. I still have gut health issues, and what could I do? And so I realized that, 4 steps is going to get people close and going to really be a good start for some people, but some people really, really need a little bit more attention. And so what I want you to also kind of get from this, and the reason why I told my story is because I would have never told anybody I had bad health. Actually, I'm pretty sure if somebody asked me, even when I was having trouble getting pregnant, I would have told them my health was good. Because I didn't have any medications, I don't really go to the hospital, I don't have to go to the doctor. But I learned that, those issues that I was struggling with meant that my health wasn't it might have been good, but it wasn't optimal. And that's where you really want to be in your health. And it's really going to take you to get it there, okay? And that's our goal, and my goal is really to help people to, really get on this journey themselves and get on top of their house themselves, all right? So imagine, years from now, you got really good energy, you're not on many or any medications, you're not got any pain issues, you're doing really, really good with your health. You've kind of taken it to the ultimate level, that ultimate health that we're talking about. And, we got to figure out, okay, well, what is that going to be like for us, and what does that work to us? Because, right now we're spending like $11,000 per person right now in Bermuda with our health. And so we got to really kind of fix that. And so we're doing a 2-day workshop. I want to tell you guys we're doing a 2-day gut healing workshop, okay? This is to give you guys the opportunity to actually, get more of your questions answered and spend more one-on-one time with us. But it's going to be fun because I think learning should be fun, and getting your health on track is fun, and I'm fun. And Beth is fun, and Sabrina, Dr. Famous is fun. We're all fun. It's going to be interactive because I can give you a fish, right? Or I can teach you to fish, right? So you're going to be more effective with yourself if you really understand how to heal your gut. And it's going to be practical because it only makes sense doing stuff and learning about stuff that you're going to be able to do in your everyday life, right? So we'll talk more about the leaky gut testing, right? And how to really kind of diagnose that. So you have an idea that you may have it, but do you really have it? So really figuring that out. You get the opportunity to prepare and taste gut healing foods. You're going to get step-by-step guidance on how to navigate elimination diets. It's not easy, okay? It's one thing to go gluten-free, and it really is another thing to really be gluten-free, okay? And experience how breathing techniques can calm the nervous system and heal your gut. And you're going to get to take home treatment protocols for gut healing. So you got a lot more information, okay? All right? So this is your key to losing weight, getting more energy, decreasing your pain, decreasing your medicines, and really enjoying your life. It's going to be over 2 days. It's going to be 2 Saturdays on August 19th and 26, okay? It's going to include the education and treatment protocols, which is a value of $745, your group training, which is $950, and your on-site cooking demos, which is $200, for a total value of $1895. We wanted to do special pricing, okay? So for this seminar, so attendees of this seminar are going to get a special pricing of $795. The bonuses is going to be your meditation and breathing training and gut healing lunches. It's going to be limited spaces because I want it to be comfortable and I want it to be intimate, okay? All right? So you can sign up at the table right after we're finished, all right? We are going to be, offer this on this special price until July 12th. So thank you.